Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 6. We'll be present our material about assessing reading. But before we move to our material, let me introduce our member. I'm Nurila Sofianti.
I'm Safira Salsabila.
I'm Sofia Dara Maria.
And I'm Ahmad Rajiuddin.
First material will be presented by me. In foreign language learning, reading is why the first material will be presented by me. In foreign language learning, reading is likewise a skill that teachers simply expect learners to acquire. Reading arguably the most essential skill for success in all educational contexts. Remain of paramount importance in the assessment of general language ability. Genre of reading. Each genre of written text has its own set of governing rules and conventions. A reader must be able to anticipate those conventions to process meaning efficiently. The first genre is academic reading. The second is job-related reading. The third is personal reading. Genre of reading. The genre of a text enables readers to apply certain cinemata that assist them in extracting appropriate meaning. The context validity of an assessment production is largely established through the genre of a text. For example, if learners in a program of English for tourism have been learning how to deal with the customer who need to arrange bus tours, then assessment of their ability should include guidebooks, maps, transportation schedule, calendars, and other relevant texts. Types of reading. There are 4 types of readings. The first is perceptive. Perceptive reading tasks involve attending to the component of largest stretches of discourse, letters, words, punctuation, and other graphemic symbols. Bottom-up processing is implied. The second is selective. Certain typical tasks are used to exercise one's reading recognition of lexical, grammatical, or discourse feature of language within a very short stretch of language. Picture tags, matching, true or false, multiple choice, and so on. And the third is interactive. The focus of interactive tasks is to identify relevant feature, for example, lexical, symbolic, grammatical, and discourse, within text of moderately short length with the objective of retaining the information that is processed. Top-down processing is typical of such tasks, although some instances of bottom-up performance may be necessary. The fourth is extensive. Extensive reading, as discussed in this book, applies to text of more than a page up to and including professional article, essays, technical report, short stories, and books. The next will be presented by my friend Safira Salsabila.
Okay, there are micro skills and macro skills. For micro skills, for the first, discriminate among the distinct verbs, letter or letter combination that produce a phoneme and orthographic patterns of English. Second, retain chunks of language of different lengths in short-term memory. The third, process writing at an efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. The fourth, recognize a core of words and interpret word order patterns and their significance. The fifth, recognize grammatical word places, nouns, verbs, and an abstract system, for example, tenses, agreement, pluralization, patterns, rules, and elliptical forms. The sixth, recognize that a particular meaning may be expressed in different grammatical forms. The seventh, recognize cohesive device in written discourse and their role in signaling the relation between and among clauses. For the macro skills, the first, recognize the rhetorical convention of written discourse and their significance for interpretation. Number two, recognize the communicative function of written text according to form and purpose. Number three, infer context that is not explicit by activating schemata using background knowledge. Number four, from described events, ideas, and so on, infer links and connection between event, deduce cause and effect, and detect such relation as main idea, supporting idea, new information, given information, generalization, and exemplification. Number five, distinguish between literal and implied meanings. Number six, detect cultural specific reference and interpret them in a context of the appropriate cultural schemata. Number seven, develop and use a battery of reading strategies such as scanning and skimming, detecting discourse markers, guessing the meaning of words from context, and activating schemata to interpret text. Next. Strategies of reading. Number one, identify your purpose in reading text. Number two, apply spelling rules and convention for bottom-up decoding. Number three, use lexical analysis, prefixes, roots, suffix, and abstract to determine meaning. Number four, guess at meaning of words, idiom, and abstract when you are certain. Number five, skim the text for the case and four main ideas. The six, skim the text for specific information, names, dates, keywords. Number seven, use silent reading techniques for rapid processing. Number eight, use marginal notes, outline, charts, or semantic maps to understand and retain information. Number nine, distinguish between literal and implied meanings. Number 10, use discourse makers like in addition, however, nevertheless, to process relation. The next material will be delivered by my friend.
Okay, designing assessment tasks. Designing assessment tasks divide into three tasks. Number one is perceptive reading, number two is interactive reading, and number three is extensive reading. Next. And this is designing assessment tasks perspective reading. At the beginning level of reading a second language lies a set of fundamental and basic tasks, recognizing recognition of alphabetic symbols, capitalized and lowercase letters, punctuation, words, and phoneme correspondence. Such tasks of perception are often referred to as literacy tasks, implying that the learner is in the early stage of becoming literature. Some learners are already literate in their own native language, but in the other case, the second language may be the first language that they have ever learned to read. This latter context pose cognitive and sometimes age-related issues that need to be considered carefully. Next. And the next is designing assessment tests, interactive reading. tasks have a combination of form focus and meaning focus objective, but they emphasize meaning more. Interactive tasks may therefore imply a little more focus on top-down than on bottom-up processing. Texts are slightly longer, from a paragraph to as much as a page or so in the case of ordinary prose. Charts, graphs, and other graphics may have a somewhat complex format. Next. And the last is designing assessment tasks, extensive reading. And extensive reading involves somewhat longer text than we have been dealing with up to this point. Journal articles, technical reports, longer essays, short stories, and book fall into this category. We place such reading in a separate category because reading this type of discourse almost always involves a focus on meaning using mostly top-down processing, with only occasional use of a targeted bottom-up strategy. And the next is presenting by my friend.
Okay, and for conclusion, in conclusion, reading assessments serve as indispensable tools with multifaceted purpose across various domains, particularly in education. This assessment play a pivotal role in tailoring instruction to the diverse needs of learners, whether in a classroom setting or in the professional arena. By evaluating reading skills, this assessment assists in educational placement, progress monitoring, and the identification of specific difficulties, fostering individualist and target intervention. That's enough from our group. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.